Let me hit you with a little bit more of that sweet action.
Sweet, sweet stout action.
There we go.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan, the Spine Breakers. And today we are gonna just do like a fun little tag video. So we're gonna do the Horrors of 2020 tag.
And this was created by Marie McWilliams. So we'll post a link to her video in the description.
Yeah. And while we do that, we're gonna drink this Night Visions Vanilla Latte, which is an imperial stout with coffee, vanilla beans, and lactose. Sorry, my brain just forgot how to read for a second. This is by Melvin, which is in Eureka Mo.
Eureka Mo.
And we're gonna split this.
It's an imperial, so it's kind of strong.
It's gonna be
and it's also
3 o'clock.
PM. We're drinking from our spooky chalices.
All right, here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty tasty.
And it's like really smooth for an imperial.
It is.
It doesn't have that like sharp boozy taste that a lot of them have. No, this is good.
Yeah, that's pretty tasty.
It's 11% ABV though, so be careful with it.
It's like the right amount of sweet balanced with the dark stout flavor.
The darkness.
I really like it. The darkness.
The darkness.
Okay. So the premise of this tag is that 2020 was a year of horrors.
Not wrong.
So these tag prompts all have something to do with the terrible things that happened in 2020, and our intention, and I know the creator's intention, was not to like make light of any of these things, but to kind of say we all went through a very shitty year, so here's maybe some some positive things, put a you know,
a more like positive outlook, or just kind of not necessarily ways to make light of it, but ways to just kind of accept it and move forward, you know. So yeah, our intention is definitely not to make light of anything that anyone has gone through over the past year. So
the first prompt is pandemic, so a book involving a disease or an outbreak.
So I will say my picks for these prompts are not all strictly horror. Some of these are more sci-fi, but I feel like sci-fi and horror are pretty closely related.
Yeah, same.
And you know, some pretty horrific shit happens in the books I chose, so I feel like it's on trend.
Yeah.
So for this one, I picked Severance by Ling Ma. This book is about an apocalyptic pandemic, which I read last year. Was maybe not the best choice to read last year, but it was a little bit comical just because the main character just kind of continues to go to work even though everyone's dead. Right. It's also kind of a immigration story and a coming of age story. So there's a lot that happens in this book, and I think it's done very well. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So I would recommend this if you really just want to lean into the pandemic thing.
Right.
If you don't read this.
And my choice also isn't really horror, but I went with Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This takes place, it kind of jumps timeline, so it takes place like during and after a flu pandemic that kills like 90% of the world's population. Oof. And then we're following this band of survivors who are actors, so they're like a traveling troupe of actors. And I really loved this book. I think I gave it 5 stars if I'm remembering. It's been a few years since I read it, but I really, really enjoyed it. So I would definitely recommend that one. But a horror one that popped into my head that I think would count as an outbreak is The Girl with All the Gifts.
Absolutely, The Girl with All the Gifts.
Also a great choice for that.
Excellent choice. And that was a really cool zombie book. Yeah, I really dug that book. So the next prompt is politics. So talk about your favorite dystopian novel.
I'm not sure if this is my favorite. I'm not sure what my favorite dystopian novel is because I have a lot of dystopian novels that I really like. But one of my favorites is The Chrysalids by John Wyndham. This one's set in this village where if a child is born, they're inspected, and if there's any kind of deformity or something abnormal found, that child is disappeared. In this village, like, everyone has to be physically perfect. Even like plants, animals, things like that have to be physically perfect, or they're either killed or just go away. We're following a boy who has an abnormality, but it's not visible. Yeah, I really, really loved that book.
It was a good book. To no one's surprise, I chose The Parable of the Sower and The Parable of the Talents because these are legitimately my favorite dystopian novels. I love dystopian novels a lot, but these are absolutely my favorites. This duology is very powerful, very timely. Octavia Butler does a really excellent job of talking about current events in kind of subversive ways, and she also does a really good job of portraying shades of gray. So like none of her characters are perfect, none of her characters are, you know, the ideal or the optimal. They all have, they're real humans, they're all multifaceted characters,
right.
And it's so good. And I want to take a moment to plug a podcast, which is Octavia's Parables, and it's hosted by Toshi Regan and Adrienne Marie Brown. The first season was Parable of the Sower. I always get these backwards.
Yeah, that's the first one.
So that was the first season, and they just go chapter by chapter, and they kind of give us a synopsis of what happened in the chapter, and then they have these really great and thought-provoking questions at the end. So they're on season 2 right now. I'm listening. They put out new episodes every Monday. I think it would be really cool to read along with them as you listen. So if you haven't read these, I've read both of them twice, and I'm not currently reading them along. But if you haven't read them before and you'd like to read along with the podcast, I think it would be a really valuable experience. So yeah. I would highly recommend it.
The next prompt is hate. Talk about a book you hated.
And I said Ready Player One by whatever the fuck that guy's name was.
Ernest Cline.
Yep, because I didn't even finish that book. I hated it so much. It was just like stupid white dude bro power fantasy. And like, it just wasn't good.
I finished it and I also hated it.
I did not like it at all. I get why all the white nerds liked it, but like, you know, that's not everyone's experience. And I don't think it really appealed to a wider audience, but yeah, so I hated that book. I did not even finish it.
I chose Quarantine by John Smollins for this one. This was set, I think, in the 1600s, and there was like a disease outbreak. I'm trying to remember it. It's been a while since I read it. This guy's trying to figure out what happened, like where the disease is coming from, and that's kind of what I thought the book would be about. Would be like him,
but no,
you know, and trying to figure out with the limited technology that they had in the 1600s, trying to figure out like where the disease was coming from, what it was, how to stop it. That really wasn't what it was. It was just a bunch of weird drama around these people living in this little village or whatever.
Right, like Port Village.
Yeah, and it wasn't, I didn't think it was well written. It was just like,
there's a lot of fart stuff in there.
Yeah, and a lot of weird, crude humor. Or I don't know if it's even humor or just like
conversation.
I don't know. It was just like, no.
Yeah.
I was not into it.
It was weird. I didn't hate it as much as you hated it, but it was weird.
Yeah.
I think at the time I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So the next prompt is End Times. Talk about what?
A book about an apocalypse?
Yeah, talk about a book about an apocalypse. Sorry, my handwriting confused me, and then like the sentence structure also confused me.
I went with, again, I had so many to choose from. I love apocalypse books.
Same.
But I went with On the Beach by Neville Shute. This is one that I haven't read since like 8th grade, but I loved it at the time. I need to reread it. But it's set in Australia, and there's been like nuclear war. And so everyone in the northern hemisphere is dead. They've all died from radiation poisoning, and the southern hemisphere is just waiting for the radiation cloud to get to them. So they're all going to die. And I just really loved it. I think at the time, like I said, I think I was in 8th grade when I read it, so I was probably 13 or 14, and I don't think I'd ever read anything quite like that before. And I was really into it.
I think that's cool. I chose Wool by Hugh Howey. So this is about a group of people who are living in a silo underneath the earth because there was an apocalypse that happened and the surface of the earth is no longer habitable. And so they are living under there, and it just tells that story. This trilogy was super compelling. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well written. And I thought that Hugh Howey did a good job of writing female characters, which I think male authors, especially in horror and sci-fi, struggle to do well often. And I think Hugh Howey did a really good job.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like that series too. I think it'd be a cool TV series.
Fuck yeah, I would watch the shit out of that.
The next prompt is crime, your favorite book involving crime.
So I don't read a lot of crime books. I don't read true crime I think I've read a true crime book, but I did just finish Theme Music by, I think it's Elle Marie Vandelay. And that book is about a woman whose family was brutally murdered by her father with an axe. And she was 18 months old when this happened. She was the only survivor. He killed himself after he did that. And so as an adult, she has really struggled with the fact that she never got to know her family. And so the house where everything went down comes up for sale, and she buys it and moves in. And then ensues is she crazy or is the house haunted situation. But there are also a lot of like twists and turns involving the axe murder itself. And the case may not be as simple as it was at first presented. So the book is
interesting,
very multifaceted horror. So it's both kind of haunted house, unreliable narrator, but also kind of like crime situated. Like, what's the truth of this crime? Can we solve it and come to a resolution? But I really liked that book. I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars. I was very compelled by it. Like, all I wanted to do was read it. Like, I was working, like, I just want to be reading things. So I would definitely recommend it. It was very good.
My choice for this one, I also don't read a whole lot of crime stuff, but I went with Midnight Robber by Nalo Hopkinson, which the book isn't really based around crime, I wouldn't say, or really a crime. But in the book, it's set in the future on this Caribbean colonized planet. And this girl and her father her father gets exiled, and she ends up going with him to this other planet. And so the whole reason he was exiled was because he committed a crime. So that's why I chose it. But also the planet is kind of rough. A lot of crime happens there.
On said planet.
But I really loved this book. I think I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic.
I really want to read
that. And I've been wanting to read more Nalo Hopkinson since then, but I just haven't really had the chance yet. Too many other obligations.
So many. Yeah, I would really like to read that because it sounds really cool. Okay, so the last prompt is hope. A book that you hope is going to be good.
We have a car alarm going off.
Oh,
okay, it's over.
I think I figured it out. All right.
But I chose Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones for this one. I read The Only Good Indians a few months back, and I really enjoyed it. And this one sounds kind of bananas, but it has to do with like a mannequin coming to life. But I've heard good things, and so I really am hopeful that it will be good.
Nice. I have that book because I think I got it as like a Book Riot deal one time.
That's how I got it.
I want to check it out. So for this one, I chose Dust by Joan Frances Turner. This is one of the books that I'm reading for Halloween-a-thon. I have not started it yet. This is my book for a book with blood on the cover. It also would count for a book about monsters because it is about zombies. The premise of this sounds weird, and so I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but it's basically, so I'm just going to read a little bit from I won't read the whole thing, but a little bit from the synopsis on the cover. After she was buried, Jessie awoke and tore through the earth to arise, reborn as a zombie, right there in good old Hicksville, Indiana. Jessie's gang is the Fly-By-Nights. She adores the ancient skeletal Florian and his memories of time gone by. She's in love with Joe, a maggot-infested corpse. They fight, hunt, and dance together as one, something humans could never understand. There are dark places humans have learned to avoid lest they run into zombie gangs. But the zombies come across a creature that is neither human nor zombie, and so they're like, the fuck?
Interesting.
So yeah, like the whole concept of like, you know, actual like sentient zombie gangs is like weird to me.
That's interesting. That's from the zombies' perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hoping it'll be good.
Kind of like, what was that other one?
Warm Bodies.
Yeah, Warm Bodies.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see if it will be good or not. I don't know.
Yeah. But that's it. That's the little tag.
That's
short
little tag. Yeah.
We thought that we would tag anyone participating in Half-A-Ween-a-thon
Yup.
who would like to do this tag.
Yup.
Maybe next year we'll make a Half-A-Ween-a-thon tag. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that'd be
would
super
cool.
fun. Yeah.
We kind of wanted to do something else horror themed this week. So we found this tag to do. That was it. And this beer, it's pretty delightful.
It's really great, actually.
But it is like, it's dangerous, I think, because it does not taste like an Imperial.
No, it does not.
But it is an Imperial. I think it said, wasn't it
11.
like 11%?
Yeah, it's 11% ABV. So yeah, you got to be careful with this bad boy, but it does taste really great, and the can art is super cool.
Yeah.
So if you're able to get that, would recommend
the beer. Let us know what you thought of our picks, and let us know how Half-A-Ween-a-thon's going for you if you're participating. But that's it. Thanks everyone for watching,
and we will see you next time.
Bye. Bye.